Hey, what is up guys, ShayRSynergy in the vicinity here, and today we have a more serious topic to talk about. You've probably heard of a little game on Roblox called Sonic Speed Simulator. I mean, that's where most of you guys watched the first episode of Sonic Prime this past week, and it's been a pretty popular game overall as well. But we're not here to talk about the game and the quality of the game or any of that stuff. We're here to talk about how the company behind it is actually really awful. And I'm going to try my best to take this in order to get you guys on the full timeline, because there's been a lot of things that happened, a lot of things people have said, and we're gonna try to deep dive into, if not all, most of them. What really kind of blew the situation up was a tweet from an account called Purgatory, and they said, "Coming out with my experience on GameFam," and then they linked a tweet longer. But right before we read that, let's read more of their tweets that they put right under. "I would like to add that please don't harass GameFam or any of its employees. Thank you. My coworker who worked with me in Sonic Speed Simulator and my closest friend is also looking for work, and if anyone is interested, he is a phenomenal and talented programmer and can tackle almost to everything. Please check him out," and then they plugged a tweet from their friend, which I'll also put in the description. The title of this tweet longer is called "Coming Out with My Experience on GameFam." To begin with this whole situation with GameFam, they are a predatory company that tries to create a monopoly on the Roblox site by buying out other games and integrating them into their company. I would not generally trust them if they approach you with an offer to advertise your game, especially now of all times. Not only do they try to create a monopoly, but they underpay some of the positions in this market. Some 3D artists like me are paid $17 an hour with a salary of $30K a year. In this industry, most of the standard is at least $35 an hour with a salary of $75,000. You gotta also take into consideration that when it comes to jobs like these, they're not actually working like full-time or anything, so it's not like they're doing $17 for 8 hours, which is also still not that cool. I feel like minimum wage should definitely go up, and especially in this industry, $35 with a salary of $75,000 a year, that already shows you how little hours these people are working. I feel like it is right to give them a little bit more money. Well, not even a little bit, just like a good amount of money. Even this is pretty fine, because it is the standard. At least give them the standard, you know? Don't even hit them with the $17 an hour. I don't know what the thought process was behind that, but GameFam, it's not looking good. Because you also have to consider the fact that it's a really heavy toll, and that's actually the next part of this tweet longer. While I was employed under GameFam, it was a constant struggle due to heavy crunching in the development team, because we were mandated to update Sonic Speed Simulator every week. This was a heavy toll on my mental and physical self, as I had to devote a lot of time to not just the development of the game, but also because I had to take care of my dad. And I tried explaining this to the team and higher-ups, and they mostly understood my situation. I eventually was cut from full-time to half-time hours without any notice. They have absolutely no communication when it comes to decisions, and when I tried speaking about the matter as professionally as I could with human resources, I was basically just ghosted. Listen, personally, I have been in that exact same spot, and I'm telling you guys, it's not a good spot. You don't want to be there when you're basically, being kicked around at this place, and you're trying to talk to HR and no one's actually responding to you, and it's a really messed up situation. Though continuing on, essentially I slaved away every week working the nights while also taking care of my dad, who has complications due to reasons. Putting in my best effort and working to every task just to be belittled and ignored and put on halftime, cutting my pay in half. So not only do I go from $17 an hour, which is just not even half of the salary of a 3D artist, I get cut in half even more. At that point, it's just more than robbing me of my time and money. Yeah, that's messed up. It's like $17 itself is bad enough, and you want to cut half of that even more? No, that's really messed up. What even is the half of 17? Isn't that like $8.50? It's something like that, and that's actually really bad. I mean, if the standard is $35 and you're at a point where you're getting paid $8.50 for the little hours you have, you're practically, you're being robbed. That's the best way to put it. You are being robbed. That's just what it is. Continuing on, at the end of October, I ended up working on the Werehog update for Sonic Speed Simulator. I worked hard to get the animations to the highest of quality that I could. When I submit my work to be used in the game, I get a notice that I was terminated from the company that I did not even notice until the next Monday to check on my tasks for the week. And to add insult to injury, they show off the last asset I heavily worked on their Twitter here. So according to the tweet longer we read, they got terminated on the week of Halloween, and then this tweet from GameFam Studios where they showed off their assets, that was posted on November 2nd, 2022. Like around a week after this whole situation went down. That is actually really crummy. I actually can't believe it. Like, it's basically them just dropping a Call of Duty emblem on them, like how we just captured your flag, and then just posting the flag around. Like, I mean, heck, it's one thing to just like throw this guy out and practically ruin his life, and then it's another thing to just boast about it on social media. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. It's like, look at this hard work we just did. Like, no, you did not do that. You practically stole it. I mean, that's the real definition we have here. And I've seen some weird people on the internet try to make the argument that, like, yeah, once you work for this company, everything you make relating to this project is basically legally theirs. And who really cares about legality, because you're stealing this guy's money as well. Like, you are basically robbing him and his talents. And wherever this guy goes next, I hope nothing but the best for him. The last part of this tweet longer reads, "I'm still struggling financially to support my dad and family financially because of this." I mean, I feel like more doesn't even need to be said. It's pretty obvious how bad the situation is. No communications, practically stealing money. I mean, you're cutting the poor guy's cuts in half, and he's already being paid very little, and you're cutting it even more. But we got some more stuff to look into. There's another account called Financial. I got that name really wrong. But Digital Purgatory did retweet their tweet, and they said, "Similar experience as Digital Purgatory and I can't pronounce it. Valere. HR is terrible. Some of the project managers are control freaks, and when I was fired, they simply ghosted me instead of telling me anything. I had to ask around." That's listen, it's not looking good. And then another account came in called Alice at Wonderland Reject said, "Hi, I'm the GameFam employee who brought Digi and the rest of the Sonic Simulator team on. While at GameFam, I was fired with no notice and encouraged to work for free for a week with no compensation. This is my story." And then we got another twit longer to get into. This one's titled, "My Story with GameFam." "Hi, I'm Alice, Roblox user Guns Bullet. I was an employee of GameFams for 4 months in 2021. So this was a year. I don't even think Speed Simulator was even out in 2021. So it's basically the company as a whole, which is pretty obvious. But yeah, it's not just Sonic Speed Simulator. They've been doing this for a while. And I'd like to write here about my questionable experiences while being their employee, including being fired under false pretenses and led on to work for free for an entire week. I'm a generalist developer who's been working on games for years, a former accelerator intern, and frequent RDC attendee since 2018. In August 2021, I was interviewed by the CEO of GameFam for an associate's producer position, something I was encouraged to apply for despite asking them for open artist positions, something I found odd, but not too out of the way as I had decent production experience. This interview arguably went too well. The CEO pointed out multiple times how bringing on more women to their team was exciting. I left the very first interview with the job and was excited to get started. I was given a starting salary of $55,000 a year with health benefits, something I initially found to be generous. Later on, I would not say it accurately reflected the proportion of work that was asked of me in any way. At first, I was tasked with taking over an existing game from an employee being moved to another project, where I was asked to manage a team of Turkish game developers entirely new to the Roblox platform. This will become an important trend. I would spend each day checking in with them on the present project state, planning for the future, communicating with investors, my own bosses, and more. It was a full-time job by itself. My first month or so at GameFam went decently well. It started going downhill when I was given a second project to become producer of, as I was told most producers at the company did. I was an associate producer at this point. It's important to note, this project was ambitious and to be created from the ground up on top of regular producer responsibilities. I was given the task of teaching an entire team of artists and programmers who'd never touched Roblox before how to use every single relevant aspect of Roblox Studios. All of those wonderful developers were also speaking English as a second or third language in countries across the world, making time and language barriers add even more challenge to the work. It was at this point I began falling behind on projects due to the immense amount of work on my plate, while my higher-ups only offered sympathy, comparisons to their own unfairly high workloads, and comparison to my coworker. One such comparison was my boss telling me a fellow producer stayed up for an entire week before his project launched, implying I should be more like him. Yeah, just from that part alone. This is another really crummy situation. I mean, you're basically manipulating and gaslighting your employees, and it's really starting to get to them. In a business like this, mental health is one of the most important aspects, and if you're a higher up not taking that into consideration, you shouldn't really be higher up. On a Monday mid-December, I woke up to start work and was locked out of my work email. This had happened frequently before, so I assumed it was a technical issue and asked HR. I was told passive-aggressively to talk to your boss by this HR rep. I'm told she is no longer with GameFam. I reached out to my bosses and it was 6 entire hours before I was given any acknowledgement. This acknowledgement was only a link to a Google Meet, which I was told to join. I was met by the CEO and both higher ups that I reported to. This is where I lost my mind. The CEO tells me that I was fired that weekend, the first time hearing of it. The reason? Leaking company secrets. When I asked him what led him to believe this, I was told he had no proof but that it was only explanation for my lack of productivity. I was devastated. Everyone around me knew how hard I worked for this company. That was completely overworking me to the bone. When I informed the CEO I had no second job like he said, his only response was a short, "Oh, okay," and promised me either his severance if I wished to leave, or he could reinstate me with a new contract. I was the only person leading both teams I was responsible for. I felt like a burden to them to keep them taken care of and not to abandon working. And until the aforementioned contract came in, I was to continue work on my project as normal with increased help. This help never came. That's another thing with companies like these. I mean, making promises and not fulfilling them, you just shouldn't be making those promises. Telling your employee it's going to get better and then just letting nothing happen is one of the worst things you can actually do as an employer. What I never understand is, how do employers think they're going to get away with this? I mean, you're promising your employees something. They're going to notice that promise isn't being fulfilled, and that's when you're going to start falling off. I mean, it is what it is. I just don't understand that. Instead, I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, so 5 days a week that week with no contract, no email, and no word on how much or even if I'd be compensated for that time. Each day I'd ask my boss what was happening with the contract or how much I'd be compensated for my unchanged workload. None of these questions would go answered. On Thursday, I was even told that I need to watch my tone and be grateful I was even being given a chance. It was at the end of that week that I said my last goodbye and chose not to come back. I never received any of the severance I was promised in my original firing meeting with that CEO, or any compensation for that last week of work. In many ways, it was my fault for agreeing to work without a contract in the first place. Then again, no, not really. I mean, they're just screwing you over, and they've done it to a lot of people. So it's like, at this point, even if you did do that, they probably still wouldn't have given you the severance anyways. They just sound like the type of company to do stuff like that. So like, I'm not really surprised here. And if you're an employee of GameFam or any company that does stuff like this, don't feel like it's your fault. Companies do this. No matter what you would have done, they would have found a way to somehow just ruin everything. The last part of this reads, I want to add that GameFam employs a lot of incredibly hardworking developers from all over the world and of all sorts of experience levels, and they don't deserve vitriol for corporate decisions. If you want to make change, focus your attention at the top of the pyramid where it matters most. The developers of companies like GameFam are usually the ones already suffering enough. I've since spoken to many current GameFam employees and I'm told things are better. I hope this is true, but I've heard enough to have my doubts. All I mean to do with this story is share my message and encourage other GameFam employees who had similar experiences to do the same. Thank you everyone for reading. Obviously towards the end there she is sharing a bit of optimism for like the company as a whole. Maybe they're doing better, maybe not. And we've read from the first tweet longer that no, things have not gotten better. If anything, they're pretty much either like the worst or somewhat still the same. I mean, no, that whole company, yeah, like she said that, you know, the developers are already going through a lot of the workers are going through a lot. It's the higher ups that are mainly the issue, and obviously the higher ups have the most power, so that makes the pain even worse. Especially that CEO sounds like an actual villain at this point. I mean, you're promising things and not fulfilling those promises and making matters worse, and then when someone tries standing up to you, you just basically attack them. No, that's not a CEO. That's just a straight up villain. I feel like I'm watching a movie right now. It's literally just a villain at this point. I mean, that sounds like the most scummiest guy known to mankind right there. But there's a lot, most companies are like this too, and it's sad. But I feel like, I think, you know, what we could do is obviously, this is probably not going to do much. Kids play Roblox. Kids are going to continue playing despite what's happening in the background. But we do have the power to like stop stuff like this from happening. It is pretty hard. It's not like we can all just start complaining and then things will get fixed. No, they have to actually see that a lot of people are upset before they even start changing anything. And even then, it's kind of like pity at this point. It's like, do we even really care? I feel like employees should start speaking out a lot more. I know it's hard, but a few of them already have, and I'm assuming a lot more are going to start coming out in the next few days. This whole situation is just a big mess right now, and on Roblox especially, stuff like this has happened so many times. And GameFam is not just a Sonic Speed Simulator company. They own a lot of popular games that you Robloxians have probably played before. You know, after these few examples of all the stuff going on with GameFam, you're probably wondering, yo, ShayRSynergy, how did GameFam respond to this, or did they even respond at all? Well, yes and no. They did respond, but the response was so bad that I don't even count it as a response. So yeah, like I said, yes and no. Right before we get into that response, this is what they had to say, because they did tease the response, and this is what they said on their Discord from one of the moderations on the Sonic Speed Simulator Discord server. Right. I'm going to make one thing very clear. What you see online is not always the full story. Coming here to voice your opinion of a one-sided story is not the right thing to do. If you want to voice your opinion, go elsewhere. This is a Discord based on Sonic Speed Simulator. Keep chat on topic. If you're kick banned for bringing this topic up, do not be surprised. Anyone who brings it up after this message will face a swift and immediate ban. And there wouldn't really be a problem with this message. I mean, they are basically saying this is a Sonic Speed Simulator like community, like just the community, like don't bring up drama here. What the issue is here, that they're saying what you see online is not always the full story. Coming here to voice your opinions of one-sided story is not the right thing to do. They are basically belittling the employees that were affected by this. And right after this, the statement dropped, and let's read that. The tweet reads, a statement about recent events surrounding GameFam. On the Monday following one of our biggest weekends ever, little brag in there, where we broke records and achieved new heights of creativity, we wanted to take a moment to celebrate our company, our team, and our history of delivering amazing experiences for amazing communities within a healthy, happy studio, and we wanted to share a bit more about how we operate this wonderful little company. When we started GameFam almost 4 years ago, our intention was to combine veteran, career game developers with the most incredible Gen Z native Roblox creators to build never before imagined horizons in gaming. We are accompanied by gamers for gamers, obviously not for gamers, and now with a team of 230 plus creators here earning salaries, bonuses, stock options, and benefit. We've accomplished so much, but we have so much left to do. Obviously, when they're saying we've accomplished so much, it's not about the employees. The CEOs have accomplished so much. They've accomplished being one of the worst companies ever. They've probably broken the record, but we move. To achieve our dreams, we have always recognized the need to have an equitably compensated team with long-term career growth potential, and we have taken that commitment seriously. Have insinuated rigorous compensation practices to ensure that we fairly compensate every team member at the company. So are they basically saying that these employees weren't paid $17 an hour when the standard of this, like, these specific positions were $35 an hour? Or, I mean, I guess that's what they're straight up saying. We'll wrap it up, fellas. I guess all those twitlongers were just lies, according to this statement. We pay our devs equitably, and we prioritize a healthy, happy work environment with tremendous support and flexibility for our teams. These are our values and we live by them. Clearly not. One of our most proud accomplishments is most of our hiring is from referrals by team members to their friends. That is a testament to our positive culture and that people see themselves here for the long term. Actually, speaking of which, Alice, that person, the second person we read the tweet longer from, she said the same thing. She did get like friends to join in on the company, but look what happened at the end. They treated her wrong and her friends got treated wrong. We are saddened by the outpouring of vital directed against our team members who do nothing but work in the service of delighting players around the world. Please respect our developers and know that they are hardworking, wonderful people who want nothing but positivity in their lives. First of all, no one was attacking the developers straight up. I think in the Alice Twitlonger we were reading, she did say do not attack the developers as they are very hardworking. The people that we are really upset at right now are the higher ups, the CEO, especially the CEO. I don't like that villain. I hate the way he sounds. I hate everything about him at this moment. Everything I've heard, it sounds really bad. He is literally a villain. But please, GameFam, do not use your developers as scapegoats for this situation. No one is attacking the developers, and if anything, we feel really bad for the developers that they have to work under you guys. It's really bad. No one is talking about the developers. No one's hating on the developers. We're hating on the higher up. The Twitlongers literally told us to not mess with the developers as they are going through a hard time, and we previously already know that because they're just the developers. They don't have the higher up positions like some of the higher ups and the CEO have. They are the real villains in this story. Our people are number one priority. We have an open book policy and team members are welcome to voice any concerns they may have. Clearly not if your HR team is not working at all. Our leadership team has open DMs. Is that actually a thing, by the way? Like, if with the company, if like you can't reach them through HR or anything, just DM them on Instagram? Is that actually a thing? Or Twitter? I don't know. That's actually funny. Which are easily available to all team members. They don't have emails or anything. They go by Twitter DM. We take culture feedback very seriously and are always looking for continued improvement to ensure that GameFam is the best place to work in the metaverse. We are very proud of the work we do and the company we have built together. Here's some facts. Some hard facts about working at GameFam. Salary, stock, options, and quarterly bonuses payouts for a full-time team member around the world. Flexible schedule with no mandated working hours. Clearly not. Because, I mean, Alice had to work there for free, bro, for a week. and they were definitely mandated working hours. They had to work under a crunch. It was really bad. Global remote workforce with no obligation to be in in-person office. Unlimited paid time off. I mean, they did that part right for a whole week, apparently. Wait, no, I read that wrong. Unlimited paid time off. They're not even getting paid. No, that's not a thing. That's just not a thing at that company. My bad. Continuous market compensation and analysis and adjustments. Transparent seniority and career planning with clear guidelines for promotion. 230 plus full-time team members. Easy access to company leadership with an open door policy. Coaching available for all team members. Celebration of company wins at quarterly all-hands global meetings. Ongoing travel and in-person collaboration opportunities. There have been no layoffs recently or ever at GameFam. In fact, we are hiring to support growth. Essentially what I got from this statement was everything you've heard about this company that's been in a negative light is just a straight up lie. Their employees are actually really happy, and we should stop attacking the developers who have never been attacked, because we all actually feel really bad for them for having to work under such a terrible company. Shouldn't have to be attacked. Basically what they're trying to say is people that made Twitlongers are the villains. The developers are the victims, which, yes, they are. They are the victims, but not of the people that made the Twitlonger. They are the victim of the company because they're being treated wrong, just like the other people you guys had in the past. I mean, it would have been listen, there could have been a case if there was like one person coming out with a story. There's multiple, and it just keeps going with people that worked on different games having the same experiences as other people that worked on the same game. So it's not like the developers of a specific game or anything. It's just people that work under this specific company in general. So yeah, it's not looking good, Game Fam. That really is all we have to talk about it regarding the situation right now. I mean, we could still go on for a long time talking about like just the company in general, because they're just really shady. It's not looking good for them. And on top of that, what I'm thinking right now is that, like, despite all of this happening, games like Sonic Speed Simulator is going to have a lot of players. I mean, there's kids, man. It's Roblox. There's a lot of kids. Yeah, there's a fair share of teenagers and adults, but it's a majority of them are kids. Kids don't really care about situations like this until they grow up and look back at it and start watching these videos and be like, man, why did I play that game? The kids really, listen, it's kids, you know. Kids are going to be kids. They're going to be like, ooh, this Sonic game, it's really fun. I want to run around, and they're going to play around with Sonic. And that's just the way it is, and these companies know that, and you know, they take advantage of that. They are practically untouchable, but the least we can do is spread the message around and hopefully find some sort of justice for these poor people. It is really bad. It's looking really bad, and as more stuff comes out, there could be a part 2 to this video. I don't know, but it's looking like there's going to be. There's a lot of stuff that's probably going to be coming out really soon, and I'm sure there's going to be another statement, because the reception to this statement was that, yeah, this was an awful statement. At this point, you should have just kept your mouth shut. I mean, we wouldn't let them go, but at least we wouldn't be even more mad, because this statement actually made me a little bit more mad than I already was at the whole situation. This was really bad. But with that all out of the way, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Hit the post notification bell. We cover a lot of things Sonic, and we are probably going to dive deeper into this hopefully in the future, because I do think there will be more stuff coming out. But yeah, see you guys next time.